Hello, my third grade friends. Today we are doing Unit 7, Lesson 4. So in this little lesson activity, we're comparing unit fractions by looking at fraction bars. So we're looking at this section we're calling a whole, and these are many different ways that it could be divided into fractions. There's 1 over 1, it's just one piece, and so there's a 1 on the bottom as the denominator to show the number of pieces, and a unit fraction is anything with a 1 on the top. That's a unit fraction. So whatever number on the bottom is how many fractions there are to make a whole. So we have 1 over 1. Then we have 1 over 2 as like this portion here represents a unit fraction, and you notice it's smaller than 1 over 1. This is 1 over 3, 1/3, which you notice is smaller than 1/2, and it's also smaller than 1 over 1. A fourth, 1 over 4, is a smaller piece, because it's cut into 4 pieces, right? Than all of these other unit fractions. 1/5 is smaller again. 1/6 is a smaller unit fraction than all the others. A 1/7 once again is smaller, and 1/8, because it's the same size whole piece, but you have to cut it into more pieces, it is a smaller fraction, right? It's a smaller piece. Like, just think if you had, a sandwich, and first you're gonna eat it by yourself, and then a friend comes over, and then you're like, okay, I'll cut it in half, so now you're only gonna get half the sandwich. And then another friend comes over, and you're like, oh, whoops, and then you try to cut it into thirds. And all of a sudden, you got 7 friends at your house. You're only going to have a little bit of sandwich, right? As opposed to the whole sandwich, because you're sharing it with more people. So, I want you to look at this for a moment. You can pause the video while you do, and think of 2 patterns that you see. Hit play when you're ready to see the patterns that I notice. Okay? So, one pattern I notice is as the denominator increases, the unit fraction is smaller, right? And then another pattern I see is all of them are a whole when the denominator and the numerator match. Matches the denominator. Okay, so you can notice different things, but those are the things I noticed. Now we're going to go ahead and compare. Because they're unit fractions, they both have 1 on top, we're going to know easily that if something is cut into fewer pieces, one of that is going to be bigger than one of something else being cut into more pieces. And you can verify by looking at 1/3 and comparing it to 1/7. What is bigger? The 1/3. We have our little 1/3 is greater than 1/7. Because they both have 1 on top, we can look at the bottom. 1 of 3 pieces. Is that bigger or smaller than 1 of 2 pieces? You can compare by looking at the bars. one of 3 pieces is going to be smaller, right? 1/6 and 1/7. So we're looking here at 1/6. There's 1/7. You get a little bit more when you have things cut into 6. You get one of them than if it was cut into 7ths. All right. Now, imagine that all of these have been collapsed into a line. So rather than bars, they've just been smushed together, flattened, and you have a number line like this. It has 0 over here and 1 over here. And then the half mark would be right here. And then, you know, the 4th marks would be there. And then the 8th marks would be like this. Okay? It's helpful to look at this to see where a 1/3 would be compared to a half, where a 4th would be compared to a 1/3, etc. But this is, you know, the number line version. So describe a pattern you see on the number line. Take a look. There's our 0, there's our 1. It matches the fraction bars, right? It matches the fraction bars. Larger denominator is a smaller piece. Okay. Now you can use either the fraction bars or the number line. I want you to try to go ahead and compare these fractions on your own. And then if you need help or if you're done and you want to see if you got them right, you can check in with me. Okay, so pause and then try it and come back. All right, so 1/3 is greater than 1/8. 1/2 is greater than 1/4. So 1/4 is less than a half. 1/5 is greater than 1/8. 1/2 is greater than 1/8. 1/4 is greater than 1/7, and 1/6 is greater than 1/8. Okay. Number 12. Between which 2 unit fractions would 1/5 be on a number line? Well, you can look at the fraction bars here. 1/5, it's in between 1/4 and 1/6. It'd be right here. About there. 1/5. All right. Between 1/4 and 1/6. Think about making fraction bars for tenths. How many unit fractions would be in the fraction bar? Well, of course, if you're making tenths, you're cutting into how many pieces? 10 pieces, so there would be 10. And then how would you write the unit fraction? 10 is going to be on the bottom, and it's a unit fraction, so what's going to be on the top? 1. Okay, predict. Can the fraction bars for any unit fraction with even denominators always be split into 2 equal parts? Can the fraction bars for any unit fractions with even denominators always be split into 2 equal parts? Explain your thinking. So if you take a look, so if you have the ones with even denominators are here, 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 and here. And we want to see, do they all line up with this 1/2 mark? Yes. 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 So that fraction bar could be split into halves. It already has that. So yes, they all line up at the 1/2 mark. All right, so that's Unit 7 Lesson 4. Join me next time for Unit 7 Lesson 5, where we're gonna have these circles, okay? And we're gonna use them, so if you wanna cut them out ahead of time, you can, just don't lose them, all right? All right, bye-bye.